Hey, 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 scrappy people, it's Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with something a little bit different. I am going to be doing a fully digital pocket layout for today, and I'm using the Stem and Tinker collections by Studio Flurgs, available at Sweet Shop Designs. And I am doing two layouts over the next couple days that are based in digital scrapbooking. One of my big goals this year was to get back into digital scrapbooking because I love it so much, and so I thought that I would show you how I am adapting digital scrapbooking and hybrid scrapbooking into my paper scrapbooking album. So right now I am in Photoshop and I am going through the cards and the papers in the Stem collection and the Tinker collection by Megan and I'm choosing the backgrounds and the papers that I want to use for this layout about my middle son's robot fight club championships. He got 4th place out of 36 teams in East Tennessee, so they did really well. They placed just one short of the trophy, but that's okay because they did the best that a team has done from their school in a very long time, maybe ever. I don't think anyone's ever brought home a trophy at their school, so they did really, really well. So I am trying to really feed into the STEM feeling of this layout, and of course it was robots, and even though the robots don't look like this robot, I had to include a robot on the layout. And if you have never worked in Photoshop and never digitally scrapbooked before, I am sure that this is all French to you and it doesn't make much sense. But basically I'm just choosing papers and then dragging them into Photoshop and using the white cards that I have already set up as what we call a clipping mask to cut the papers to size. And what I will end up doing when I'm done designing this layout is I will merge all of the layers together for each card, and then I will just print each card individually on its own 4x6 glossy photo paper, and then I will just stick it in the pockets. This is a fully digital layout. I don't add anything to this after it comes out of Photoshop. And later on in the next couple days, I will do the same process again, except it will be a hybrid layout, and I will show you how I do the same process and how I approach it a little bit differently to make it hybrid. So right now I'm going through all of the embellishments available to me in the Stem collection, and I'm just going to drag and drop them all into Photoshop just the way that I would if I was paper scrapbooking and pulling a bunch of die cuts out of a set of die cuts to use. So I've added everything to the spread that I would think about using, and I've turned them all off visually so that they aren't cluttering up my workspace and I can see better. And I decide, instead of using this 3x4 card with the light bulb on it, I wanted to use this atomic symbol because this was the Atomic City Invitational. And it was in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, which they call Atomic City because there's a nuclear lab there and all kinds of stuff like that. So this sciencey feel, this molecular symbol kind of a thing really works well. And then also it was a Lego robotic competition, so of course I have to include these Legos in here, and I'm going to cluster them just like I would any paper scrapbooking product in the corners of these cards. I have this Polaroid frame that I'm resizing to fit my photo correctly. Resize the photo a little bit to make that work too, and then I'm just trimming it like I would with scissors, but I'm doing it in Photoshop so that it fits behind that frame. And I decided to add a little bit more fun texture to this spread, just like it would in real life. Centering it on that card. I'm adding shadows to these cards since I will be printing them whole and not relayering them in paper. So I like to add a little bit more depth to my digital scrapbooking with shadows. I actually taught a shadowing class on Creative Live, a live website where I had a studio audience and everything, and they recorded me teaching, which was crazy. So anyway, if you're interested in learning about digital scrapbooking, I have 3 classes on Creative Live that you can find and learn a little bit more about basically an introduction to layering and shadowing in digital scrapbooking. So I've decided to add those 2 sets of sprockets, and I want to add this paper as a layering mechanism, so I'm going to put it behind the photo, and I'm just dragging it underneath. Adding shadows and rotating it. The really cool thing about Photoshop is that you can resize to your heart's content, which I always severely miss in paper scrapbooking. I was initially going to add this screwdriver, but I decided it looked way too busy on this card, so eventually I will delete it. But it's going to go there for now. I'm turning on layer by layer and deleting, just like I would if I was paper scrapbooking. If I decided I wouldn't use it after all, it just goes back in the pile and out of my sight. So I deleted those stitches because I decided I wasn't going to use them. And delete that screwdriver, and I'm going to add BattleBot to one of these cards. I'm going to turn all these word strips on so that I can resize them all at the same time as well. Make them all the same size. You can resize everything individually when you're digital scrapbooking, but I do like things that are the same to be the same size, just like they would in paper scrapbooking. So I wanted all of my word strips to be the same height so that they didn't look all different sizes. It's little things like that that make your digital scrapbooking look more realistic and less digital, I suppose. So I'm going to use all 3 of these in the corner of this orange card down here at the bottom, making the spacing even. I'm going to layer them underneath Mr. Robot here. Decided to delete that robotics. Instead I'm going to add learn in this big scripty word art. I'm going to mesh that in with my Legos here. Then I'm going to delete this big ideas because it's too much. One title is good. I know where to put it anyway. So now I'm looking through the Tinker collection to see if there's anything else I want to add. Flurg's collections are always really big. There's lots of different components to each collection. So I'm going into the stem scatters, which are these beautiful multimedia looking clusters, and I'm going to add one to the background behind that bottom left card just to add some color. So I'm going to layer it over the top of the background card, make sure it's clipped to that card so that there's no overhang. Then I'm going to add this one to this bottom corner of this 4x6 that I will be journaling on. And again, I'm using it as a clipping mask, making sure that it is clipped to the card so that there's no overhang with this mixed media. I do that so that I can print it as a 4x6 really easily and not have to worry about the overlap. The really fun thing about digital scrapbooking is that oftentimes the designers will create these scatters for you. They're already pre-made, so I don't have to worry about it too much. So I'm just gonna duplicate the part of this scatter that I actually want on this card, and then I'm gonna move it up to this card and do the same thing again. So I'm using my my lasso tool to select a bunch of these stars. I'm creating a new copy of them and then deleting the old copy. So now I need to finish my title card, and I'm gonna have to add in some digital alphabets to them after I adjust the size here and make sure everything is working right. And I also changed the colors up because I used that BattleBot, which was that red color. I used that word strip, so I didn't want the red Lego over there too, so I switched the black down there and the red up the top, just to make sure that the colors are balanced. Scooting everything around, making sure it all fits well. Now I'm going to adjust these word strips. I'm going to tuck them around this cluster so that they are incorporated well and not just hanging out there by themselves. Right under Mr. Robot there. And tilt it a little. It's funny, in my paper scrapbooking, I always want everything to be nice and straight, but oftentimes in my digital scrapbooking, I want things to be tilted and a little bit wonky. Because you can make things perfect so easily in digital scrapbooking, it always feels like you want to make things a little imperfect. So I didn't want to use the stem alphabet, so I used this extra alphabet pack that came with the Tinker collection. And I'm looking for the right one. There we go. I wanted to use the black. So I'm going to spell out Atomic City, and I believe Invitational. And what's awesome about digital scrapbooking, again, is that you can make everything fit the way you want it to on your layout. So I made those a lot smaller. Sorry about the zooming in there. Duplicating the C and the I so I can use it in city as well. Now I'm pulling an invitational, and invitational is a lot longer of a word, so I think everything is going to have to get a little bit smaller. There we go. So I'm going to make everything fit here. And then when I do that, I want the other alpha to be the same size, so I made that smaller, and I'm just going to make Atomic City all on one line so that it imitates Invitational nicely. And I'm keeping that atomic symbol in the middle there. So I know that this can be rather overwhelming, especially if you've never digital scrapbooked before. So if you have any questions or if there's specific things that you would love to learn about digital scrapbooking, let me know in the comments below. I am just about done with this layout. I decided that I didn't love the way that Lego background on that card was so light, so I added a darker gray layer to it at 50%. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. And I will be back in a few days with a little bit easier of an introduction to digital scrapbooking. All right, thank you.